Hello everyone, this is Navarsha, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, Engineering College, Bikaner. In previous lectures, we have studied about transport layer and the basic functionalities of transport layer. So we have studied and also UDP. So we have studied that transport layer has two types of services: connectionless and connection oriented. So connectionless services are provided by UDP, and connection oriented services are provided by TCP, that is Transport Control Protocol. So UDP we have previously studied. In today's lecture we will see what is TCP and what are the functionalities provided, what are the services provided by TCP. So basically TCP is a connection oriented protocol. It creates a virtual connection between two TCPs. Okay, so a virtual connection is established. In UDP we were not establishing any connection, we were simply transmitting the data. But in TCP, before transmitting the data, we have to set up the connection between the two devices. TCP also uses flow and error control mechanisms at the transport layer. It is known as connection oriented reliable transport protocol. It adds connection oriented and reliability features to the services of IP. So IP protocol uses TCP. So in IP basically we have seen at network layer, in IP protocol there is no flow and error control mechanisms. So those mechanisms are provided by TCP for IP protocol. So next we will see some of the services of TCP. So first of all, process to process communication. We have already studied that transport layer provides process to process communication. So TCP also provides process to process communication, and here in UDP we saw some of the ports of for UDP transmission. Here also in TCP we have different ports. So port number 7 is used for echo. So echo is a received data, it echoes a received datagram back to the sender. 9 is port number 9 is used for discard, 11 for users, 13 for daytime, 17 for quote, and like so on. So these are the protocols used by TCP. Okay, next we have a stream delivery service. See, in UDP, we were transmitting the data. There was no relation between the data being transferred, or there was no connection, there was no numbering for the data. But in TCP, we have some kind of, you can say, some kind of step-by-step process is there. So TCP is a stream-oriented protocol. In UDP, a process simply sends messages. In UDP, process simply send messages with the predefined boundaries to UDP for delivery. UDP adds its own header to each of these messages and then delivers them to IP for transmission. Because in UDP the packets are different, all the packets are different, they are not related to each other. So what you have to do is, basically a message is divided into datagrams in UDP. So each datagram you have to tell about you have to tell the router that yes, this UDP packet belong to this message. So so UDP is basically, it's not reliable, so we have to give all the information in each and every datagram. So each part of the message has contain all the information. But in TCP we have a stream delivery service. Stream delivery means we are sending, it's just like a pipe, we are sending water in pipe. So if the message, the packet, the segment which goes first will come out first. So there is no need of giving each and every information to each and every message part of message, which is basically part of message in TCP is known as segment. There we were using the term datagram, and here we are using segment. So all the segments are basically related, so there is no need to give information to each and every segment. So in each message from a process is okay. TCP allows the sending process to deliver data as a stream of bytes, and it allows the receiving process to obtain data as a stream of bytes. So TCP basically creates an environment in which two processes seem to be connected by an imaginary tube, or you can say it's just like a pipe, a stream of bytes which carries the data across the internet. So this is the how TCP works. Okay, for this is stream delivery. Okay, next we will see sending and receiving buffers. See, because the sending and the receiving processes may not write or read the data at the same speed, so there must be requirement of buffer for storage. So if any message drops or any message discarded by the receiver, or there is any chance a packet is lost, so for retransmission purpose we need some buffer. So there are two types of buffer, the sending buffer and the receiving buffer. And one way to implement a buffer is we can use a circular array. Okay, or a cube can also be used here. So these are the buffer. At the sending side, the buffers has three types of chambers. The white section contains empty chambers, and see this is the whole buffer. So this area is white chamber. So this white chamber is it contains the chambers that can be filled by the sending processes. The gray area is the gray. This is the gray area. This gray area basically holds bytes that have been sent but not acknowledged. This kind of scenario we have already seen in sliding window protocol. Okay, so TCP keeps these bytes in a buffer until it receives an acknowledgement, and the colored area is contains the bytes to be sent, which this area contains the bytes which have not yet been sent. So TCP may be able to send only part of this colored section. So this could be due to the slowness of the receiving process. Okay, or it may be because of congestion. The operation of the buffer at the receiver side is very simple. The circular buffer is divided into only two areas. See, this is the white area. So white area contains empty chambers which are to be filled by the bytes received from the sender, and the colored section contains the received byte that can be read by the receiving process. Whenever a byte is read by the receiving process, the chamber is again recycled and added to the pool of empty chambers. So it moves like this in circular fashion. Okay, so next we will see the segments. Okay, this is the same thing. Okay, next is see, we have already seen the sending and receiving buffers. So the speed difference can be accommodated by the buffers, but we need one more step before we can send the data. The IP layer as a service provider for TCP needs to send data in packets, not as a stream of bytes. But at the transport layer, we are using the bytes. So TCP groups a number of bytes together into a packet called a segment. TCP basically adds header to each segment and delivers the segment of the IP layer for transmission. And then the segment are encapsulated in IP datagram and transmitted. So this entire operation is transparent to the receiving process. Okay, so all these are handled by the TCP with the receiving process unaware of any activity. So this is the how this segment works. Okay, this is the sending process. Then next byte, this is something similar as this one, but here it is a stream of bytes, but we are taking it as a segment is nothing but the collection of bytes. Okay, so next we will see full duplex communication. TCP offers a full duplex communication in which data can flow in both the direction at the same time. So each TCP then has a sending and receiving buffers and segments which moves in both the directions. Okay, connection oriented service. As we have already seen, TCP uses connection oriented. So when a process at site A wants to send and receive data from another process at site B, then the following steps occurs. The two TCPs establish a connection between them, data are exchanged in both the direction, and the connection is terminated. Basically a three-phased process is there. First of all, connection establishment, then data transfer, and then a connection release. We will see this step in detail. Later on we will see. Okay, see, this is a virtual connection. It's not a physical connection. TCP segment is encapsulated in an IP datagram and which can be sent out of order or lost or corrupted and then resent. So each may use a different path to reach the destination. There is no physical connection, only virtual connection is there. The TCP creates a stream-oriented environment in which it accepts the responsibility of delivering the bytes in order to the other side. So the situation is similar to creating a bridge that spans multiple islands and passing all the bytes from one island to another in a single connection. Okay, this thing we will discuss in detail. Okay, next is reliable service. TCP is a reliable protocol. So reliability means whenever a packet reaches to the receiver, the receiver will send an acknowledgement, and when the sender is confirmed about the sending packet, then only it will transfer next packet. So this feature is there in TCP. Reliability is there. Okay, some of the features of TCP are numbering system, flow control, error control, and congestion control. These are the services provided by the TCP. So we will see them one by one. See, in numbering system, basically the TCP software keeps the track of segments which are being transmitted or received. There is no field for a segment number, but there are two fields. One is the sequence number and another is the acknowledgement number. So these two fields refer to the byte number and not the segment number basically. So byte number is the byte of the data being transmitted in each connection are numbered by the TCP. The numbering starts with any randomly generated number. So you can start with any randomly generated number and you can give it to byte number. So when TCP receives a bytes from the bytes of data from a process, it stores them in the sending buffer and then it numbers them. The numbering does not necessarily start from 0. It can be from 0 to 2 power 32 minus 1. Okay. So for example, if random number happens to be 1057 and the total data sent are 6000 bytes, so the bytes are numbered from 1057 to 7056. So it depends upon it's just an initial number. So the bytes of data being transferred in each connection are numbered by TCP. Okay, next we have sequence number. After the bytes have been numbered, TCP assigns a sequence number to each segment that is being sent, and the sequence number for each segment is the number of the first byte carried in the segment. So we will see the example. Okay, let's suppose the TCP connection is transferring a file of 5000 bytes. The first byte is numbered as 10001. So what is the sequence number for each segment if the data are sent in 5 segments? So see, this is the segment 1. So sequence number 10001. So in one segment we are transmitting 1001 to 11,000. Okay, because each segment can only carry 1000 bytes. Again we will take 11001. So this first byte represent the sequence number. So this is the sequence number. Again 12001, 13001 and 14001. So these are the sequence segment numbers. It's nothing but the first byte. Okay, next we will see the acknowledgement number. As we have already discussed, communication in TCP is full duplex. So when a connection is established, both the parties can send and receive the data at the same time. Each party numbers the bytes usually with a different starting byte number. The sequence number in each direction shows the number of the byte carried by the segment, and each party also uses as an acknowledgement number to confirm the bytes it has received. However, the acknowledgement number defines the number of the next byte expected to receive. So acknowledgement number basically is the, if you have sent, let's suppose 1000 sequence number 1000 you have sent, so next you are expecting sequence number 1001. So if for data byte 1000, the receiver will send the acknowledgement 1001, like this. And here acknowledgement number is cumulative. So cumulative means for more than one for more than one uh, data packets or segments, we can send a cumulative acknowledgement for all those. Okay, next we have flow control. See, unlike UDP, TCP provides flow control methods. So the receiver of the data controls the amount of the data that are to be sent by the sender. This is done to prevent the receiver from being overwhelmed with the data. So flow control is basically uh, used for the to synchronize the speed of the sender and receiver. If sender is sending the data but receiver is not able to receive, so let's suppose if sender can send 10,000 bytes in a second, but receiver can only accept 900 bytes, 9,000 bytes. So what about the 1,000 bytes? So these bytes will be lost. Why? Because receiver is not able to accept them at that time. So that is the reason we use flow control methods, so that we can know the speed of the sender and the receiver, and we can synchronize them. So the numbering system allows TCP to use a byte oriented flow control. We will also see this in detail. Okay, next we have error control. So to provide reliable service, TCP implements an error control mechanism. Although error control considers a segment as a unit of data for error detection, error control is byte oriented. Okay, we will see this also. Okay, next we have congestion control. So first of all, what is congestion? Congestion is it's just like traffic on the network. Whenever you are sending data, or any host is sending the data, so there may be possibility that more than one users may send the data at the same time. So there is a possibility of traffic on network. So because of this traffic, the speed of the data transmission is slows down. So to speed up the speed of the packet, what we do is we first check the network if there is a congestion or not. Or what TCP do is, TCP first we have already seen TCP has it has three phase transmission. The first one is data first one is the connection establishment. So TCP initial, before sending the data, TCP first establish the connection between the sender, and via that route only the transmission is accomplished. So this TCP basically provides UDP. For in UDP there was no congestion control mechanism. Okay, but in TCP we have mechanisms for congestion control. So how they are controlled, we will see in detail. So TCP, unlike UDP, takes into account congestion in the network. The amount of data sent by a sender is not only controlled by the receiver but also determined by the level of congestion in the network. Means if you are sending the data, then you cannot means we have seen that in flow control we will see the speed of the receiver and we will send the data accordingly. but actually the sending data is not just depend upon the speed of the receiver, it also depend upon the congestion of the network. So if there is a very huge congestion in the network, then we will slower the speed of the our data transmission, so that no data is lost. So this is the feature. This congestion control feature is also provided by the TCP. Okay, so thank you so much.